that there's a mask on my face.
I never think about it. I never think about this. Ever. I never think about having to have like go somewhere and I never have to do that all the time. Of course, the computers. This is not working with computers, so now I have to do this and a piece of crap. And it's at 0, even though it's been plugged in since 6:30. That's great. All right.
Count to 10, Coach Rob.
5,000. Still playing ahead. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. What we got? Eyebrow, because kind of it. What we got? Two.
No, Trump train actually.
We got nothing. All right. First question. We'll go with number 1. All right. What do you call, Gracie? What do you call the people that are represented by somebody in office? Is you is or is you ain't my. You're the person, the people represented by somebody.
I cannot say.
Yes, you can. Is you is or is you ain't my. Constituent. Constituent. Everybody say constituent. There you go. All right, come shit. I guess we need to do this.
Well, I know what he was talking about.
He knows the movie.
Once he said the movie.
Constituent is anybody represented by an office holder. You got in a little notch, so I give you one right there. All right. Little pace, Kenny. When the districts are drawn, when they do redistricting, when they draw them to give a group an advantage, what is that called? It's illegal. Gerrymandering. Did I turn it on? I think I did.
I think you got flashcards.
Nice.
JV.
Freshman, I mean JV.
I just went with the same one.
Okay. Go report. When the president vetoes a bill, the House and Senate can do something to it if they get 2/3 votes. What can they do? They get 2/3 vote, they can blank the veto. Y'all can help.
Isn't it, they just override it?
Override. They can override the veto. Does that happen? No. About once a generation. That happens.
And if you override it, it has to be 2/3 Senate.
2/3 Senate and 2/3 House.
That's what it is.
Do it to their one.
Okay, cool.
You don't have to copy paste her. You don't have to. All right, Parker. The blank is in charge of the House and the Senate. What's in charge of the House and the Senate? It's different today. The House is different than the Senate. But this is in charge of both the House and the Senate. Majority party. Majority party is in charge of the House and the Senate. Oh, it didn't stay up. All right, Reagan. This gets done after the census, and it determines how many reps each state gets. What is that? Determines how many reps each state gets. Reapportionment. We got to figure out the portion of representatives each state gets. You gotta do it after the census. Why do we have to do it after the census?
Know how many people you got.
We gotta know the population and we gotta know the numbers. All right, Trinity. When the state draws new district lines, new congressional district lines, what is that called? They're drawing district lines. Redistricting. Is that too difficult? Everybody good? Terry, you got that? You okay on that one? You're drawing new district lines, it's redistricting. Is that too fast? Too fast for anybody?
I put Jerry in there.
All right. Right there, that's a one.
No, that's
Look at this. Upper bound. All right. Moon pie. If a government official is this, they're being accused of breaking the law. What's it called when the president and the judges are accused of breaking the law? Impeachment. What if the punishment for impeachment was getting hit with peaches? Would anybody want to get hit by a peach? No. Is there any fruit if you had to get hit by a fruit?
A blueberry.
Grape, blueberry, not a pineapple. No.
They said not get hit by.
What? Oh, wow, I might have. I'd say a grape or a blueberry would be good. Raspberry.
I don't think a grape would, because they're so.
It could.
Because they could be like a little like. Who freezes their grapes?
I do.
But a peach.
Dude,
No, I've never
freezing.
eaten a frozen grape.
They're really good.
It's not bad. It's not.
I'll bring you some tomorrow.
What is the 60 votes that limits debate and means no filibuster? Cloture.
Can I hit it from right here?
Sure, I'll give you that's a 3. I'll give you 4. If you make that, I'll give you 4. Look, Phillips, what is a senator's term? How long is a senator's term? 6 years. Bad throw.
You look, you're doing an easy one. Your job.
Have they not all been easy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was telling Mike he's gonna get to me, and I'm not even gonna know if it's deals with government or not.
Was he a 3?
Yeah. But then I'm about to.
It bounced out and stayed in. Look, I ain't touched it.
That's 6. You made it twice.
No, that's varsity playing.
All right. Cutler, let's go to this one. I'm excited. Okay? The blank of the house is in charge of running the house. Speaker. Now tomorrow, if y'all are having problems and you're like, look right here. What do you got right here? Speaker. There you go. It's such a wind up. That was such a build up.
Well, I didn't want to throw it. I didn't want to throw it too far.
Did Mr. Tender make that buckle?
I just wanted to have my full loaded.
Did Mr. Tender make that buckle?
Yes, sir. He made my senior own.
All right. What we got here? All right, Lopez. You got big brains, so let's see. This clause tells Congress it can do whatever is necessary and proper to carry out everything else. It stretches the power of government. Yes, but it's the elastic clause. It stretches it. The elastic clause is also the necessary and proper. It tells government whatever you need to do these other things, you can do. It stretches the power of government. And those are implied. It's an implied power. Way to go. I'm actually going to give you get a point for that. Because that's thinking. That's using learning right there.
Well, technically, it was
That sounded real cool, Coach Rob.
Now what? It did. Joe, What's up?
What's up, coach?
Hey, I'm excited. Joe Gonzalez is up.
Hey, be careful getting shot the ball like he runs up the hole. Don't get up too quick. We don't want to roll your ankle.
You know, just sometimes we just beat a dead horse and just, I would never take something and like overdo it, ever. I would never do that. I just, we just don't, we don't need to overdo the fact that Joe got hurt yesterday in the film room. We don't need to make fun of that. All right? Not in practice. Not a game. He got hurt in the film room. So we don't need to make fun of that. Do we? Is that something to make fun of?
No.
Someone getting hurt in the film room, is that actually something? We don't need to beat that dead horse. Right, Joe? We don't need to bring that up anymore, do we?
No.
The fact that you got hurt in the film room. We don't need to bring that up. That's really embarrassing.
Yes.
I've never,
Poor Joe.
in 30 years of coaching, 10 something, 12 years of playing stuff, I've never heard of anybody get hurt in the film room. So you're unique, Joe.
I have.
I have
The
that.
chairs, what he does when it comes to the seat.
All right, Joe. Oh, ridiculous. I can't.
He's like,
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Okay, our government does this better than anything else. Spending money you don't have is called blank spending. It kind of sounds like you can't hear. Deficit. That's right. Deficit spending. Oh, almost hurt him in government. Oh my gosh, I got scared. No, I have had a kid get hurt during this, during a review. I had a kid blow his knee during a review. I used to have this game where I had a football on the desk up here, a little football, and the two teams were here. Whoever could answer the question first and then get to the football, and he'd go on football, so we quit doing that. I don't do that. All right, Joe. Look at Joe.
I'm not gonna
Come on, guys, that was good. With the film room injury, he still was able to get that shot. All right, Jalen. Let me make sure I got all this. All right, what kind of powers are specifically worded in the Constitution? Expressed.
Very coaching.
All right, Jared, I expect the best from you. 3.
He's a basketball player. You bet
You are a
This has nothing to do with basketball.
Shoot a
It's
five.
everything to do with basketball, Jared.
Shoot a 5-pointer. Ooh!
Yeah, you get moved
I'm
up.
just-
Can't make a simple shot.
Taylor's coming up next. Pretty soon.
I'm shooting.
All right, Jacob. What kind of powers are not directly stated in the Constitution?
Why?
Yes.
Speak that drop. I'm not trying to help basketball.
You can be great at this and horrible at basketball. You can be great at basketball and horrible at this. Let's go, Jacob. That's a
2.5.
You're behind Joe, behind Braxton.
0 now.
That's a 3. If your toes are across the line, you said this line, see that line right there? Toes across, that's a 2. That's a 3. It's not no good at basketball. No good at all.
Yeah.
Good try,
You
remember?
think
I
you
haven't
can do
made
that
layups
again?
before though.
Good try. You think you can do that again?
I might be able to.
Remember the time we played one-on-one?
I would hope that my high school son could beat some 52-year-old non-basketball player.
Well, you
in
always
shape
say,
like
oh,
that.
I'm so bad. You
I'm
can
horrible.
shoot better than me. It's not true.
I can make layups. I can make a layup, yeah. One time, after the district track meet, all the coaches was here. Woodard and God, who was it? Oh, Thompson and Woodard played me and Coach Hart. Coach Hart's older than me. Now this was 15 years ago. And somebody had flip flops on. Might have been, I don't remember. Anyway, I hit the winning shot. It was going out of bounds, and I hit the corner and let it go. Drained it. Beat Thompson and Woodard. Old man, long. How long, J-Rod, how long is a representative's term? They're up for re-election every congressional election. Tell him, help him, help him. 2 years, that's right. 2 years. Any question's easy if you know the answer. Any question's hard if you don't know the answer.
Yeah, that's the one.
Where was I born? That's easy. That's easy. Where was I born? It's easy.
Michigan.
In the hospital with my mom. No, it was Fort Worth.
Not a much ever. You know what it is? This is leg weights.
It's the tennis shoes.
Thumb and index finger.
All right. Taylor, who is in charge of running the Senate meetings, banging the gavel at the Senate? Oh no, yeah, we'll go with Taylor. I'll come back to you. They bang the gavel at the Senate. What's that? Vice President. See, easy question.
Right here.
I'll give you 5 points if you make it from out there sitting in the desk.
I put
Just more. Let me, little coaching here. The more arch, this is physics. The more arch, the more air, the bigger that the goal gets. Because if it goes up, the goal stays big. If you shoot it flat, now the goal is really only this big. Does that make sense? So the more arch, if I ever said that to you, arch maybe?
Did you not see
Instead of
how I
straight
used to
lines.
shoot?
I've done that.
And then Coach Thompson changed my shooting
I used to shoot this.
I don't think he wants to shoot flat. All right. One. Let's see.
You can ask Jared. I used to have one of the biggest arch.
One shot.
Yeah.
All right, if you obtain legal ownership of an idea or invention, what is that? Patent. You can patent. Lakin's sweating bullets right now. You got 3.
Oh.
All right, Lakin. If you got ownership of a song or a poem or a picture, what's that? Copyright.
Come on, Lincoln.
How many points will you have?
Let's see. None.
None. Keep going, Megan.
All right, go to Grayson. Can a the president use a pocket veto at any time? No. When can the president use a pocket veto?
10 weeks, right?
10 days. Within 10 days of Congress adjourning. So, if Congress is going to adjourn October 30th, anytime between the 20th and the 30th, a pocket veto could be done. The president does not have to do anything with it. Why would the president not do something with it?
So
They don't get the blame. They don't have to answer questions. Why did you veto this? They can point the blame and push it back on Congress, say they didn't get it to me in time. So only within 10 days, if they get it too late to the president.
Does that happen at all?
Sometimes. But the thing is, the president and Congress know exactly what's happening. They know exactly what's in all the bills. Oh no, did I take away the Zilla?
Yeah,
Alright, so
nothing had 8 points.
1-4-0.
It was 1-5.
Yeah.
Well, now we
No, we had 5.
It's 2-5.
And now.
And 8. Last. 0.
Yeah, it's half an 8.
It's 0.
Yeah, half an 8.
Oh, I got you.
Oh, we have 2 now.
I got 1,
We have 2 now.
2.
Yeah, she just made it.
Trinity, do you already have 2?
Yeah, we have 2.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. My guy's face.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Yeah, she made it twice now.
Little Pace, when do they redraw the districts and why do they do it then? Don't need a date. Something has to happen first.
When the census.
Okay, after the census, and there's another big word that has to happen. What's the other big word? Reapportionment. Reapportionment. It's after the census. It's after, yeah, he got the census part. I was adding to it. Why does reapportionment have to come after the census? We gotta know the population. And then we gotta figure out how many reps each state gets. What's it called where you figure out how many reps each state gets? Reapportionment. Okay? Reapportionment is figuring out how many reps each state gets. You can't draw the district lines where you figure out how many reps each state gets. All right.
So what does apportionment mean?
It's figuring out how many reps each state gets.
Okay.
All right? And you got to have the census numbers to do that. And you got to have reapportionment to figure out redistricting. All right, Reagan? Look at the first set of questions we did. Everybody look at the first set of questions we did. Yes. That's the same. All right. I'm going to ask you to tell me, I want to ask you one thing that influences or pressures congressmen when they're looking at a bill. What's one thing that pressures or influences congressmen when you're looking at a bill?
Yes, that, okay. Pressures from all kinds of places.
Okay, like, what's,
Then the party. There you go.
okay, your party. That is true. Your party, how does your party influence your vote as a congressman?
You gotta do what they want.
Most of the time, you got to do what they want, or else they could work against you. Parker, what's something else that influences your constituents? How your constituents are going to feel about this bill? The party and the constituents have a big say-so in what? In your re-election. So those are the two big things for you. Don't worry. I'm going to ask you a second. What's a third thing that influences? Yourself, your personal beliefs, your personal feelings. Tomorrow, I'm going to ask you what are three things that influence.
That's two. No.
That's a
No, it's
Don't
that
worry,
one.
don't
No,
worry.
it's that one.
No, it's that one.
It's this one. So tomorrow I'm going to ask you three. There's a fourth thing I put on there that they never think about.
Country.
What's best for the country? What's best for the future? Why do they not worry about that one?
Because it's just so.
What's not? That's not going to get you reelected, is it? Because you're going to not do things, not give the people stuff, not do things that, you're not giving ice cream out. If there were days where I would not be number one in the polls of dads in our house, right? Growing up, there'd be days where I was not number one in the polls. Like being a dad of dads, I would not be number one. Yeah, that's a true question.
Well, then what's like an example?
Well, like days when I got mad and yelled at God, hey, I was not number one. You would have took another dad that day.
Probably not.
What?
Because I knew why you were mad at me.
Oh, don't act like you I deserve the punishment, I know it.
Well, no, I did. I was
I
a
know.
little turd.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, now you're forgot. I'm so flustered now that you forgot what I was talking about. But tomorrow, just be able to tell me three things that influence their thoughts. It's going to be the constituents. And is that spelled for you somewhere else? I don't care if you spell it right, but it's there somewhere. The party is going to influence you and yourself. Right?
Does it matter which state you're in?
No. No. I will always accept an answer if it's right. It doesn't have to be the answer I'm looking for. If it's right, I'll take it. All right? Trinity? That's a tough one. I got faith. Yeah, it is. It is tough. It is tough. I'm telling you, it's tough. The House and the Senate. This is not part of the question. I'm going to ask. What's the big difference between the House and the Senate?
The members.
There's a number of members and what else? Terms. What's a representative's term? 2 years. What's the senator's term? They're staggered. So not all of them are up for re-election at the same time, right? Trinity, how is the Senate a continuous body and the House is not? How often are congressional elections? Every 2 years. So why is the House not a continuous body but the Senate is? The House is always up for re-election. Every 2 years is all the senators up for re-election every 2 years. Some are. A third of them are. 2/3 are not. So they're a continuous body. They keep going. They don't change things. They just keep going. The House has to set up again every 2 years. Does that make sense? Okay. Way to go, Trinity. See, that wasn't hard.
Do a big part.
Just going for it. Okay, I know you were being coached. You took coaching because I said put an arch on it. The problem is you can't do this because no, you can put an arch like that. Try that one. Oh yeah. Way to be coaching. Way to be coaching. You're right. It doesn't. There was a chance of it. All right, Mary Boo. Here's a repeat. Who is in control of the House and the Senate? Majority party. Majority party. Look at this. No.
Splash.
Brett, in an impeachment, what does a prosecuting attorney do? What's the job of the prosecuting attorney?
Prove guilt.
To prove guilt, that's right. Prosecuting attorney gathers evidence. They gather evidence and they try to prove guilt.
We're supposed to seal it.
Yeah. So everybody got that? The prosecuting attorney, this is not just impeachment. Prosecuting attorney is going to investigate and try to prove guilt, prosecute guilt. All right? In impeachment, little Robbie, who is the prosecuting attorney in impeachment? I'll give you a hint. Y'all find the page that has this. The House Judiciary Committee. The House Judiciary Committee is in charge of investigating impeachment. Don't listen to the bleachers.
March.
He hit the top of that thing and hit the bar.
Now, what is judiciary? Let's just talk. What's judiciary? Judicial, law stuff, court stuff, trial stuff. And impeachment is a trial. So the House Judiciary Committee is going to look into impeachment. Cutler, what does a grand jury do and not do? You got the page out that has impeachment on it. Everybody get the page out there because guess what? It's going to be a lot of questions here on impeachment. There's something they do, there's something they don't do. They decide should there be a trial or not. What do they not do? They don't do guilt or innocence. The grand jury does not do guilt or innocence. The grand jury decides are we even going to have a trial or not.
How close can I get this line?
No. The grand jury just says there's something here. Let's see it. Let's look into it more. Let's have a trial.
Can I stop? Okay.
The prosecuting attorney tries to prove it. All right. Now, Lopez, what is the grand jury in an impeachment? Where do you live?
Oh, I get it.
You got the page of impeachment. Who is the grand jury in impeachment? Speaker. What you say? I couldn't hear. The House. The House is the grand jury. Does everybody have the impeachment page out? Something with impeachment on it. Okay, do not. Is it on the bill to the law deal? What is that? This is on the.
back.
Okay.
That's what George she knocked off.
No, he didn't say it, so I don't count.
All right, Joe. What does a jury do in a trial? They decide guilt or innocence, and they decide punishment if they're guilty, if they're found guilty. That's a jury. So grand jury, no guilt or innocence. They decide trial or not. Jury decides guilt or innocence. Once again, Joe,
When you sit back down, don't worry.
with the injury coming through. All right, Taylor, I'm going to jump to Taylor here because I know you know this one. What group is the jury in impeachment? House is the grand jury. Who's the jury? Senate.
That's my boy.
She look at nothing. You look at nothing.
Looking at it, tell us, dude.
Not like it.
Oh,
So how many points right here against 5?
5.
That's only because
Well, we're back in the game now. Lincoln, who is the jury? Oh, wait. Okay, never mind. If a judge is being impeached, who's the judge? It's in the Senate. What's that? Vice President. They just stay in their seat and bang the gavel. Cornell, if it is the president, who is going to be the judge? Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. See, now physics. From that far off, this light, an object, number one, it won't carry, but also you can't get the arch on it. You have to really only use this much. Physics. All right. Who we got? J-Rod? What's something that influences congressmen? Constituents, that's right. The people you represent. Oh, color coordinated today. The lights were not off.
That's my boy. Back in the game, baby.
Ramos. Okay, how is the Senate a continuous body and the House is not?
Senate is staggered. They constantly have someone in there.
Uh-huh.
House is always 2 years and all that.
They're up for re-election every 2 years. What do you guys think?
You must just give a whole speech about it.
You did. You answered the question. Boy, fellow Americans. Today,
Yeah.
We're on the lead,
Yeah,
they like you. Brandon, you might laugh at this. You might laugh at this. Today, hey, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. You know who that is? Lou Gehrig, when he was dying and he retired. You ever seen that? You ever seen that? Oh man!
I'm saying the echo's really
Golly. Yeah, guess what Lou Gehrig died of? Lou Gehrig's disease. It is this horrible neurological disease where basically your body just starts to shut down and you get to where you can't. Yeah, you can't. Your muscles just quit and you can't move, and it gets to where you have trouble breathing, and then it's incurable. I saw this documentary one time on this football coach who got it, and he was still coaching, and he was riding around in a golf cart, and he couldn't hardly talk. He was on oxygen, and he couldn't talk. His wife, me and Lane watched this together, and we just looked at each other and said, "We got to find a girl like this." His wife he would just mumble, and she could understand him, and she would do the coaching. Like he'd say something, and she'd do it. So she's out there coaching, and he's telling her what to say. And, I think it's what's the scientist guy? Hawking, Stephen Hawking? I think it's what he's got, but he's lived forever with it. Now he's jacked up with it, but he's lived longer, I think, than everybody. Huh? Did he die?
Yeah, he died like
Okay.
a year or 2 years.
But I mean, he lived for like decades with it, and you're not supposed to do that.
Keegan Bennett, come to the office. Keegan Bennett to the office.
Hey, since she's in, I'm a little angry.
All right, here we go. Jay Lee.
And she's on the.
When can a pocket veto be used by a president? If it gets to the president too late, if it gets there within 10 days of Congress adjourning, then the president can do a pocket veto.
Don't smoke it.
Don't suck.
Hey.
No, he bounced it.
It's in between the picture frame.
Oh, that should be another point.
Half a point.
It's like no, on the inside, like from the box.
No, it's not here.
Is it in
It's
the
not
box?
there.
Is it the white box?
This box.
Hey, it went in that way.
I would give an extra point, but someone from this team was like telling the dictator how to do their job, so I'm not going to do that. All right, so this question is for y'all too. What?
Sit down.
It's not in the do with anything like this.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does. It does.
All right. Now somebody has an advantage at this. Somebody's gonna have an advantage. If you can tell me, I don't know how to ask that question. Tell me something about one of the songs we looked at that had some copyright stuff with it. If you can come,
Surfing the USA.
what?
Stairway to heaven.
Stairway to Heaven, Stairway to USA.
No, surfing the USA.
Stairway to Heaven. If you make a 2-pointer, it will put you as a tie with nothing.
Tie with nothing?
A 3-pointer will also put you with a tie, but I was giving you a chance.
So we got 8 points.
I know.
Hey,
I was on the
Can I take
board.
a 5 or something?
Let's go. All right, y'all can think. Y'all ready?